It's not every day you get to talk to a hero, Jenny.
Apart from
you
me.
do. You do.
No,
obviously.
you do.
But no, we're about to talk to a local hero.
Absolutely. One of the finalists for the 2025 Australian of the Year Awards is a local hero in SA. He's with us on the line. Shane Heiharek is his name. He's recently been recognised as a game changer in the 40 Under 40 Awards in SA. He's a business owner, founder of charity Accessible Beaches, and runs Push Mobility in a bid to improve quality of life for people with disabilities. Hey there, Shane, and congratulations on the award and the nomination for Australian of the Year.
Oh, good morning, and thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. I'm definitely honoured for the nomination, and yeah, it's a nice achievement. So thank you very much.
We head to the beach. Summer's coming, and you want as many people to be able to do that as possible. Accessible Beaches, tell us about that.
Look, I'm a wheelchair user. I broke my neck in a swimming pool in 2007, and I used to go to the beach all the time. I used to be a surf lifesaver in Grange, and after I broke my neck, I just assumed that the beaches were no longer a place for people with disabilities to dissipate it and go and enjoy. Mm-hmm. But then I realised that beaches can be accessible, and if you put in things like beach matting and beach wheelchairs and things like accessible car parking, footpaths and bathrooms, then everyone then can enjoy the beach. And it's great because over the years, with a bit of campaigning, beaches are becoming more accessible for people with disabilities. When I started this project in 2016, there were about 6 accessible beaches in Australia, and now we're over 130, which is fantastic.
Oh, great. How's it going on the South Coast? Do we have much accessibility there?
It's slow. It's really challenging. Like, for instance, I did a beach access audit of Half Moon Bay probably about 5 years ago, and the council was extremely dismissive towards the needs of people with disabilities and access that beach. For instance, the brand new Surf Life Saving Club was built, and there was no footpath even to the surf club. So it took campaigning for a basic asset like a footpath to be put in. So that paints a picture of what it is like working with local government in South Australia to make the beaches more accessible and inclusive.
Shane, we see on those beaches that do have it, the wheelchair matting, and think, as people who don't think about this every single day, think, that's great. People are able, but it's more than just the matting. There's stairs you have to climb to get to the matting, and there's places, the infrastructure around the beach. That's part of things that you have to audit.
Absolutely. A great example is Semaphore South Surf Life Saving Club, or Semaphore Surf Club. The council recently, a couple of years ago, put in a footpath, a beautiful compliant footpath with 2 steps down the bottom to get onto the beach. And, if people with disabilities were consulted in the design process, they probably would have said, hey, we need a ramp. And thank goodness the council has actually now changed that and put a ramp in, which means that matting can now go at the end of it, which means that people with disabilities can get on the sand and roll down with their family and friends and spend the day at the beach. And that's what inclusion is all about.
And Shane, after your accident, I imagine you noticed a lot of things that you might have not realised before, and you went on to start Push Mobility, right?
That's right, yeah. When I was in rehab, my first wheelchair was scripted up, and scripting means that it was measured up for me, and I really had no input, and it was pretty much like you can choose between 2 colours, and this is exactly what your wheelchair frame is going to be like. And it was awful. It was like a black shopping trolley, and it did not make me feel good about my disability. And then I then got my second wheelchair, which made me feel better about who I was and living with a disability. And then I had an idea. I'm like, well, what about if I started a company and made sure that every wheelchair that we made was something that the person with disability loved? And that would help people feel more comfortable engaging in community and make it easier to live with disability. So that was 13 years ago, and now Push Mobility is one of the largest bespoke wheelchair companies in Australia.
That's incredible, and of course it's drawn attention from those who like the local hero awards. How do you get told you've been nominated, and what's that process like?
Well, yeah, I got an email and from the Australian of the Year Awards team letting me know I've been nominated for an award, and I was like, wow, like, why me? When you hear about all these amazing people doing such great things in community, that's the first question that I asked. And then they were just letting me know, obviously, because of the work that I've been doing in making beaches more accessible, whinging about public bathrooms, stirring up council, turns all these things lead you to recognition for being a contributor in community. So, I was a little bit taken away and blown off my feet back into my wheelchair, but it was a nice thing to find out.
Yeah, you got to crack a few eggs, though, to make that omelette. Shane from Push Mobility's with us. What can we do? What can our businesses, community members listening in, how can we be more considerate and thoughtful in our process when we're constructing things, when we're going about our everyday lives?
Look, how long do we have? Because I've got a long list. Look, I'll give you a live example that's happening right now. The Adelaide Film Festival is screening movies in cinemas that are not accessible. There's a beautiful cinema in Semaphore called the Odeon Star. I love the cinema, but there's no wheelchair access into the main cinema. However, Adelaide Film Festival is choosing to host their screenings in cinemas that people with disabilities can't get into. So that's a great example of things that can be done right now, is that if we are going to hold public events, public festivals, it's so important that we choose spaces that everyone can participate in and everyone can enjoy. But when you look at businesses, small businesses don't have a lot of money. So if the governments can get together and create a grant process, it might be a quarter between the business owner, council, state and federal, and everyone shares the cost. It means then that can go towards upgrades to businesses to become more accessible and inclusive. Because I always hear every day, businesses want to become accessible, but they can barely pay their rent and pay their staff. What money are they going to have to make upgrades to their businesses?
Yeah, it's a very good point. Is there in new builds, is there a compliance that is built into the approval process now?
There is. Like a great example, there's still flaws in it. The new housing legislation that's come through for accessible housing, it stipulates that you need to have step-free access and a wheelchair-accessible bathroom. However, it doesn't say that the bathroom needs to be on the ground level. So we've got large builders all around Australia right now that are building brand new homes with a wheelchair-accessible room upstairs that no one in a wheelchair could even get to. So,
that's ridiculous.
Correct. So that's actually happening right now. I'm surprised the media hasn't got onto this. But look, these are the challenges that we're facing as people living with disabilities. And 50% of people over 60 have disability. And that number increases the percentage when people get older than 60. So everyone out there, all your listeners, unfortunately, one day in their lives, they're going to most likely experience disability. So it's so important that with an ageing population that we start building the infrastructure that we want and need for people when we are going to age and sadly encounter disability in the future. Yeah.
That made me cranky just then, and it doesn't affect me. Like, it must be so frustrating.
To be fair, you are often cranky.
Well, it's my default position, but I feel like it works in this instance.
Yeah, it must be infuriating.
Yeah. We should hang out more then.
Right. Shane, let's do so. A local hero in South Australia for this nomination for the Australia of the Year Awards. Thank you for explaining all that to us this morning, and all the best with the campaign, the fight for all of it.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your day, and let's hope that our communities become more accessible and more inclusive for all soon.